Alright everyone, welcome back again to more Tsukihime. Let's carry on. Adjusting my grip on my knife, I run as fast as I can towards the crater. I step out of the building and witness the mountain of rubble before me. Slowly, I inch closer to the crater, stopping just short of where the ground caved in to peer over the edge. It's definitely 40 meters deep. There was a park here once, but there's no trace of it now. The debris scattered across the slope, all the way down to where it bottoms out into the cavern. It looks like it'll be too steep to climb back up, though I should be able to get down safely enough. Which is why I go down, scope things out first. I mean, I was gonna go down, and then I saw that. I want to play it safe, right? All right. Let's scope things out first. I can't go down there now. The pit below is filled with azure flames as far as the eye can see. In the middle of it all stands the towering vampire. Vlav Archangel. It appears that explosion didn't even scratch him. What a monster. By human standards, he might as well be immortal. But even so. The figure in white still dances circles around them. Like a beautiful huntress darting and weaving through an orchard of flame and crumbling rubble. That figure in white is Archwade. She leaps over the river of flames to close in on Vlav. In his hand is some crude weapon. At a glance, it looks like a long sword, but its blade is shaped like a machete. Archwade, on the other hand, is fighting back against him with her bare hands. She's only got her legs to run and her clawed hands to strike. And even so, this proves enough to counter Vlav's machete. He's forced backwards after one tremendous blow. The wound left on his arm is deep enough for me to see the bone beneath, but the sight lasts only a moment. By the time Archwade slashes open Vlav's flesh, his blood is already flowing over it, repairing the gash. Archwade warned me about this. Vampires won't die as long as their supply of blood isn't exhausted. It's just like she said. A wound fatal to any ordinary creature disappeared in the blink of an eye like it was never there. He swings his heavy blade without fear. Archwade is careful not to overextend. Whenever she lands a blow, she quickly leaps back just out of his blade's reach. She must be wary of him landing a counter-strike. No, that's not it. Her face says it all. She's enjoying the chase.
死ににくいだけがあなたの取り柄なの？27層も質が落ちたものね。このまま奥の手も見せないで私に殺される
Vlav's breathing comes out in ragged heaves. His morbidly pale skin is painted with anguish. He may be immortal, but there's a limit to his powers. Even though he appears to be unharmed, Archwade's dive bomb must have wrecked him, maybe even dealt an otherwise fatal blow. And in regenerating his entire body, he's burned through most of his energy. Archwade's in a similar situation due to me killing her. That sort of thing must have taken its toll on Vlav too. I take it she's thinking the same thing. So she's distancing herself after each attack, essentially baiting Vlav to move in for the kill, hoping he'll risk it all on a full-blown counterattack. The metallic ringing of blows reverberates through the air. Vlav's breathing is a mess. No, awful foreboding chill creeps up my back. Arcade got the upper hand, and Vlad is clearly getting exhausted. So why am I feeling so uneasy watching all this unfold? It's as if Arcade's claws are no longer hitting him like they were before. Worse, despite Vlad's ragged appearance, his swordplay, no machete play, is still top-notch. It's as if he can see right through Arcade's actions, anticipating and calculating her every move. But worst of all, he still hasn't used that flaming claw of his yet. Vlad howls. The fire shudders and soars in response. Swirling several meters high, the flames grow into an inferno that towers over both of them. They then split into countless blazing branches. The underground coliseum has morphed into a jungle of flame. Walls of fire press in around Arcade, blocking off her escape routes. At that moment, high above her, melting straight through the rubble, hands composed of heat stretch their fingers wide before slamming straight into her body. In that 1 second, the tide shifted in Vlad's favor. Arcade told me that she could withstand temperatures up to 3,000 degrees. But these flames just burn straight through concrete. They've got to be far hotter than that. Vlad stacked 3 of those fiery hands atop one another. A strike like that wouldn't even leave ashes behind. She never had a chance of escape, and now the fire only serves to lap up its prey. That's how it ends for the woman in white, incinerated without trace. That is, if this had happened last night. The flames part. A white skirt flutters in the wind. Wow, I like that look. My gaze is glued to the scene, mesmerized by her transformation. She told me all about it. I've got a plan. I'll remake my body beforehand. This black and white battle dress must be the culmination of her plan. A piece of armor that can withstand the heat of Vlad's flames. I wonder if it looks the way it does because it absorbed his flames, or if Arcade made it that way. Either way, the flames have no effect on her now. Her plan went off without a hitch. Arcade's victory was all but assured once she figured out that fire was Vlad's main weapon of attack back in the hotel. Vlad assails her with more fiery claws. But Arcade bats them away with the casual flick of her left wrist. As easily as parting her hair, she cleaves through the wall of flames, scattering them left and right. The sparks that manage to touch her white dress sizzle and fade in submission. Her golden hair streaks behind her like a shooting star. Damn, look at her. Like, that's some powerful move she's got going on. The way she moves and swings her claws now is unlike anything I've ever seen her do so far. Vlad is forced to stumble back, helpless against her onslaught. Now it's like she's just dancing. The difference between them is astounding. It's hardly even a contest anymore. Vlad went from hunter to hunted the second his flames were rendered useless. Arcade is absolutely relentless, inflicting fatal wound after fatal wound as she corners the vampire. The only reason Vlad's still standing must be because he's still got some blood in reserve. But that will run out sooner or later. Especially since there's no one left in the area for him to feed off of. All that's left is that which already flows within his body. Just a few more hits like this, and that'll be gone too. He'll be starved. And once he no longer possesses the fuel he needs to regenerate, he'll be little more than a regular corpse. A plea for mercy. Undignified, like a spoiled child. Gone is his skillful display with a machete. His swings turn wild and graceless as he haphazardly lunges at Arcade, almost like he were trying to cast away his fears. But she doesn't miss her chance to retaliate. The vampire cries as he leaps into the air. Getting away from Arcade takes every last ounce of blood-fueled power that he has. He flees, soaring higher and higher, aiming past the confines of the crater. Even a 40-meter deep crater isn't enough to keep him trapped. It's likely that he intends to scour the surface for more blood to replenish the supply. but ivy wraps around his legs before he has a chance to escape. That's new. It sprouts from the earth in a flash, tangling itself around the vampire with incredible force and drags him right back into the center of the hole. Now he's desperate. The river of fire at Vlov's feet is reignited. I watch as the azure flames turn the ivy into ashes, but it's not enough to release him of his shackles. New vines spring forth from this topsoil of ashes. No matter how many times he burns through them, the chains remain unbroken, reviving again and again like a phoenix. Even the immortality of a vampire pales in comparison to nature's infinite cycle of rebirth. These vines are that cycle made manifest. Short of burning down the entire planet, there's no way to escape them. No amount of vampiric powers or curses can extinguish nature's breath. Archway dashes in his direction. Everything about her posture and demeanor tells me that she's going in for the final blow. She's already crushed every last one of his attacks. Finally, she's decided to put an end to this. I'm happy to let her do the honors. She doesn't even need my involvement. Any moment now, Archway will crush Vlov. There's just one thing. Even with our victory so close at hand, my heart beats like crazy. Something feels wrong. His agony, his labored breath. Something tells me that things aren't as they seem. The anguish painted on his sallow face is clearer than ever. In this incandescence, he alone inhabits a different world. A white breath so out of place amidst the fiery sea that envelops him. I know that look in his eyes. It's one of obsession and of self-preservation. He is both the aggressor and the victim. Which is when I realize that we made a huge mistake.
バカ、何考えてんだ、俺は。
Archwade's victory is already guaranteed. I'd be an idiot to try and interfere now. I ought to sit here and observe. There's no need for me to plunge into that hellscape. Knowing that Nah. We gotta play this smart. I'm not letting Archwade die on me. Even though, technically, you know, I killed her. But the point still stands, okay? The point still stands. We'll save here. Alright, I'm calling out to her. I remember what Archwade told me. Defeating a vampire means defeating whatever special abilities they possess. The problem is that we were looking at the wrong ability. In focusing on the fire, we overlooked everything else. But that's not where his true power lies.
違う、逆なんだ、アルクエイド。
I shout at her from high above, but I'm too far, my voice won't reach her. Despite it all, I scream with all my might. I know what type of power this vampire wields. It's not heat, but... Archwade pierces his chest. Blood spurts out from the wound. It flows quick and free like a bottle uncorked. At last, this scorching nightmare is brought to an end. Vlov is pushed past the final threshold. A terrible sound fills the air. It rends time and space as the vampire reveals its true form. The atmosphere crackles and sparks. The atoms that were accelerated by the heat suddenly decelerate at an unnatural pace. Electrons bounce off the ultra-cold matter, and with nowhere to go, react to the atmosphere. The blue flames that covered the ground around him were never really flames at all. They were an exothermic reaction acting to vaporization, the very earth rapidly losing heat.
本当に。
He extends one of his cold-blooded arms. His fingers spread wide, open palm, as if craving warmth.
ここは寒い。
The beautiful huntress is enveloped in blinding light. It wasn't just the temperature that dropped, the world itself underwent a drastic change. A torrent of ice blows Archwade away and engulfs the city beyond. Everything is frozen, from the ground in the pit below to the roofs of the skyscrapers. All in a flash. I wonder if anyone was left in those buildings. If there were people who still hadn't been evacuated, then the sheer cold would have robbed them of their heat and killed them in an instant. A shiver runs down my back as the sight before me. I'm afraid to think of what might follow this. It's stupid luck that I'm even alive now. Had I been behind Arcwade on the other side of the crater, I would have been frozen alive. The river of flames could cover a wide area, but it also spread slowly. Most people would be able to outrun those flames if needed, but this river of frost is something else. It might have a narrow range and follow a set of path across the ground, but once it's fired, it spells instant death. If he manages to escape above ground, he'll slaughter the whole town.
アルクエイド。そうだ、アルクエイドは。
I desperately cling to the hope that she's still alive. She's the only one who can stop this monster.
いた。
I spot her in the middle of the glacial river. Thank God for Arcwade being tough as nails. It looks like the blast of ice didn't even dent her.
そういうこと。あなたは正気がないんじゃなくて正気から逃げていたのね。三流の使徒であれ、原理を持つ以上は星を打倒しうるか。おかげで目が覚めたわ、ブローブ・アルハンゲリ。
Arcwade stands untouched at the center of the glacier. Vlav's gaze is as cold as the ice that surrounds him. His eyes are no longer filled with the same pain and agony as before. They're the eyes of a hunter now, stalking his prey on a snowy tundra.
目を覚ましたのはこちらの話だ。よくも俺からここまで熱を奪ってくれた。
The hatred on his tongue cuts the air like a knife. He hasn't lost a will to fight. If anything, this is the first time I've actually seen him this motivated to battle.
そう。なら、己の幸運を感じなさい、ブローブ。本来なら目を覚ます前に終わらせていたわ。あなたを救ったのは憎たらしい殺人鬼よ。まあ、それも今一時の話だけど。
確かに。伝え聞いた貴様の姿と今の貴様はかけ離れている。どうやらここ一番で俺は幸運を拾ったか。
忌々しいけどそういうことよ。お互い最後の一撃を残しているだけの体たらく。どちらかが仕掛ければどちらかが消えるだけ。その前に最低限の礼は取ってあげる。答えよ、賠償家畜の我が霊則。その証、根の病巣、大臼のごときその穴蔵。新たな原理をはらんだ種よ。貴様にとって血とは何や。
Arcwade sounds oddly dire, even considering the situation. Her question sounds like she's condemning him. Even Vlad looks like he was taken by surprise.
慎んで答えよう。俺にとって血液とは断そのもの。生命の熱さ。我が凍傷を癒す霊薬。我が世界。我が原理を回すもの。しかり。血液がなければ俺はこの寒さに凍りつく。
This tone belies an honest reverence as he clarifies his true nature.
思い出した。人間を嫌い、恐れ、避けようと絶海を漂流し、城を構えた変わり者。27祖の一人、ゼリア・アッヘンバウム。1000年を超える原理を持ちながら子を作らずに領地を治めていたと聞いたけど、そう。つまり殺して奪ったのね。
そうだ。俺は後継者ではない。ただの騎士だ。騎士だった。永遠など俺には手に余るものだ。
The vampire beckons towards his shadow with his right hand. Out of his unnaturally stretched umbra emerges a strange and massive weapon.
だが、ご当主にとってもそれはより不相応だった。
The hell kind of weapon is that?
故に奪った。騎士として王を倒し、その王座を簒奪した。今やこの原理は俺だけのものになった。
そう。短い王位だったわね。
強気だな。空想具現化もできぬほど弱っていながら、俺と正面から打ち合うと。
いらない。たかだか死と相手に世界と同化する必要もない。あなた程度、この爪だけで十分よ。
The corner of his lips curve into a smile. His gallant features twist into that of a hideous beast. It's a wry smile, as if to confirm Arcwade's accusation.
最も強き者とは先辺にして偏らぬもの。貴様はまさにそれだ。そこまで衰退していながらまだ俺を上回る余力がある。あらゆる呪い、あらゆる状況に対応する原初の位置、波の使徒ではかなうまい。
The air distorts. His twisted desire spurred the blue haze to lower the temperature even further. But Arcwade doesn't hesitate. She's fully aware that a direct hit from Blov's strange lance could be the end of her, yet she still charges head on. Then...
だが貴様は知るまい。かの領土はこの星の一部でありながら、生きるにあたわずと除外された生命権。いかに真祖の姫であろうと、この地獄に耐えきれるか。
A flurry of ice-cold gusts spreads outward from Blov. Arcwade comes to an abrupt halt and throws up her hands in front of her as if to protect herself. The wind screeches as it blankets the surroundings and temperatures approaching absolute zero. And then... the giant otherworldly spear shatters Arcwade's pure white dress. The blast kicks up the snowstorm that blocks my vision. My breath turns white as the air around me cools. Oh man. That messed her up bad. The blizzard clears, revealing Arcwade crumpled in the rubble a few dozen meters from Blov. Nothing remains of her fireproof dress. She's gone back to her original form.
怪物め、俺の槍を受けて原型をとどめているか。だが
Arcwade lies dead still. But Blov doesn't approach her. Instead, he raises his hand as if signaling for something. The debris surrounding Arcwade creaks and crumbles. Beneath the rubble, the clawed hands of zombies scratch and groan as they crawl out of the dirt.
この狩りはもはや俺のものだ。女の死体を拾ってこい。その順応性、あらゆる苦しみを上回る万能の血をこの手に。
At Blov's command, the zombies head to where Arcwade lies motionless. It's over. Our plan failed. There won't be another chance to chain out Blov. Arcwade is gone and the city is wrapped in the grim code. Everyone is as good as dead. What I see before me are the final moments before the world as I know it ends. The cold feels like razor blades on my skin. My body temperature is dropping rapidly. Even living is a challenge in this extreme weather. My brain's gears grind as the pressure in my skull rises. I claw at my chest, feeling like my heart might explode any moment now. I give myself 2 more minutes at best. The horde of zombies is closing in on Arkwade. Despite freezing cold, the scene reminds me of midsummer. They're like a file of ants marching towards some spilled sugar under the scorching sun. They'll kill her. They'll tear her limb from limb, just like I did. Just like you did once. Yet I stand here watching it all unfold from the safety of this ledge. At this rate, they'll... At this rate...
無理だ。
You know what to do, man. That thing is a natural disaster in the guise of a human. We never should have gone after him. It was the height of arrogance to think we could defeat him. What was I thinking? That we could stop him from killing more people? That we could solve this without any more casualties? What a joke. We never should have confronted him. If we had just let the whole disaster blow over like a typhoon, at least he might have stopped at burning the city to the ground.
でも無理だ。
They couldn't do anything. You choose to do nothing. They had nothing to fight back with. You have a weapon. Pressure builds against my skull. Thoughts turn to disarray as common sense wrestles with delusion. My consciousness turns to flee. I make no move to stop it. There's nothing I can do. No way I can fight him. But she... I've done enough. Any more is insane. But she... I should run while I can. Just turn away like a normal person. But she'll die. I stare up at the sky. Tall, frozen buildings invade my view. The people inside must have died in an instant. No chance to even manage to scream. Unlike what happened at the hotel, the pleading screams of the people there still haunt me even now. I look over at the fallen woman. The corpses inch closer and closer to her, moaning and drooling. Even now, the river of ice continues to expand. All while the vampire watches over his dominion of death with absolute indifference.
間違いない。
My head splits from the pain. At this low temperature, my heart has to squeeze and contract with everything it's got to keep my blood flowing. Everything points to just one conclusion.
俺には無理だ。
Every trickle of fear that sinks to the pit of my stomach churns and turns, coagulating into a massive fury. I may be defective, a laughingstock, stupid and naive, because despite all of that, I still can't bear to stand by and watch this happen. That's right, Shiki, let's go! I remove my glasses. I cover my mouth with my left hand to stop what remains of my precious body heat from escaping through my breath. I've got 1, no, maybe 3 minutes. That's all the time I'll have until the fire within me burns out. It's not that I lack motivation. That's just a realistic assessment of how long a human can survive down in that pit.
くさくさくさくさ。何やってんだ俺は。
I scold myself as I slide down the slope. This is crazy. I'm crazy. This is all so crazy. Run away if you want to live? No, it's the opposite. If I really want to live, I need to go in. This monster cannot be allowed to exist. This monster cannot be allowed to roam free. If I run away, I'll die. If I run away, the entire city will perish with me. So it's clear that what I have to do now, if I want to live, I need to kill. If I'm going to survive, I need to charge. I have to kill him right here and right now, as fast as I can. My patience for this creature has already run thin. It dares to kill, steal, and live on without remorse or repercussion. I cannot allow it to live, not as a human, not as a fellow living creature. As long as this thing lives, it will be my prey. I will tear out its life force by the root. I run towards Arkwade. The zombies are about to press their teeth into her tender flesh. I remember the question she asked me earlier. Can I actually bring myself to kill? Whether they're truly human or not, can I kill something that looks so human? It doesn't matter now. My head simply aches. I've never gone without my glasses for this long. I've never been this objective in my thinking. In my frenzied state, I make a quick note of where each death lines is on their bodies. Then I commit to memory each of my undead targets. Hands off her, you eyesores. The dead shouldn't dare prey on the living. Besides, she's my prey, mine alone. I cut through lines in 3 of the zombies like they were butter. Each neatly splits into 3 pieces and drops to the ground, dead. It was almost too easy. With their attention focused on Arquade, they were completely defenseless.
起きろ！いつまで寝てやがる！
I make no attempt to touch her. I just call out to her as I killed the 4th.
しき
Roused by my voice, Arquade opens her eyes in a daze.
なんでここにいるの？ダメ、逃げて！
She pushes herself off the ground, but the toll on her is evident from her face and posture. She's come to, she's alive, though her wounds haven't healed. It looks like Arquade won't be able to move anytime soon. She's the one who ought to be running away, not me. Unfortunately, I don't exactly have it in me to get her to safety.
よし、元気だな。ならいい。できるなら援護してくれ。
援護ってあなた一人でやる気？っていうか正気？
正気でこんな真似できるか？いいか、俺にとってここは海の底だ。3分しか時間はない。だからその間に今度こそ俺とお前で奴を殺して終わらせる。
Knife in hand, I dash ahead, leaving Arquade behind. I look over to Blob, quickly calculating the distance between the 2 of us. About 40 meters. 6 seconds before I reach him. He still hasn't noticed me yet. 3 more seconds. I can't waste any more time observing him. I've got to end this with one final blow. My body is already suffering from hypothermia. I've got 3 more minutes until my mind and body shut down entirely. But I have at most 1 minute before my body starts to falter and I can no longer move freely. It's plenty though. I can already see the lines that'll let me kill him where he stands. He finally reacts. He shifts his gaze towards me with all the disinterest of a man about to wave off a bug. The gigantic lance he used to skewer Arquade is gone too, which makes sense. I'd be worried if it wasn't. In Vlov's eyes, I'm nothing. I might as well be one of his useless zombified minions. He sees me as no more than Arquade's incompetent bodyguard. Why stay in his spear when he could just as easily crush this insignificant human under his boot? That gives us our chance. All I can do is catch him by surprise. He's already spotted me, so getting him from behind is no longer an option. But that doesn't mean a surprise attack is out of the question. He doesn't know about my eyes. He never fathomed that a mere human could possess the power to kill an immortal vampire with a single strike. 2 seconds. It's my only chance. My one shot to cross the boundary between life and death. Focus. All I need to do is dodge his first move. As long as I can do that, then my gamble will pay off, and I'll be able to cut through his lines. One second before I reach him. Just as I'm about to get within slashing distance, we both jump back from one another at the same time. We've never even got within each other's reach. 2 factors brought us here. First, I made a misstep. The cold air concentrated around him prevents me from getting near. The closer I get, the duller my body and mind become. At the speed I was going, I'd have lost consciousness as soon as I was within 2 meters of him. One more step, and it would have been over for me. I've lost the element of surprise. It just isn't possible to sneak up on Vlov and kill him. But I can live with that. Failing the ambush was something I had accounted for. There's one other problem, though. A problem far more deadly. That bastard. My rage thaws behind my temples, mixing with the headache from going without glasses for so long. I still can't believe it. He somehow managed to read me. He must have some kind of intuition. A primal instinct to survive that would put any wild animal to shame. He should have had no reason to fear me, yet he somehow sensed that I have some method of killing him. In that perilous instant, he recognized me as a threat, leaping away without another moment's thought.
なぜ俺が引いた
I jumped back around 2 meters. But his retreat was on another level. He had to have had pulled a full 30 meters back. I suppose 30 meters must be the minimum safe distance for a vampire. It's almost hilarious just how different of a scale we operate on.
なんだお前はなんだ
He took the words right out of my mouth. My luck has quickly gone down the drain. He'll never let me close this gap between us again. I recognize that I won't be able to take him down, whereas he's figured out that I possess a way to kill him. From here on out, it'll be...
いい近寄るなお前はそこで死んでいろ
a long-distance massacre. The cold air condenses, forming icy objects in midair. They're sharp as spears, and like bullets they fly, targeting my skull. Do I dodge? Or do I try to take them? Should I waste my weapon here? Or continue to conceal it? The decision is made on instinct. The headache wrings my brain like a wet towel. My eyes hone in on the instrument of death, like the focus being adjusted on a camera. If I cut the lines, these spears of ice, their inertia, the very bonds holding them together will be killed right in front of me. Death takes aim at my temples. I align my knife with the projectiles. Humans were once feral beasts too. We're still host to the acute reflexes and instincts we had during that bygone time. As long as I'm free to move my body as I wish, these icicles are no deadlier than a pea shooter. However, I've used up my only shot at a surprise attack. His eyes tell me everything I need to know. He saw what I did just now. He doesn't have to understand how I did it, but I'll never get close enough to do it to him. I've lost my only avenue to victory. Should I really have shown him my trump card so soon? No, I shouldn't have. But it's not like I had another choice. I had to play my best hand in order to survive. I'll just have to find something that can make up for it. I limit myself to only the most necessary movements. Even if I can't get close to him, I should at least try to conserve my energy. There's only 2 minutes left till I hit my limit. My fear is cast out by excitement. Caught in a battle for survival, my perspective on life and death gets turned upside down.
奇跡の類ではないしかし常識でもない俺の渇きを水のように通すとはどういう理屈だ
There's a brief lull in the onslaught of icicles. He hones the waves of cold air into singular points, creating a maelstrom of ice.
惜しいがただ死ねあまり俺の胸を躍らせるな
The frozen javelins are launched in my direction, as if from a trapped thrower. I slice through each of his icy bullets. With Arcway behind me, I've got no other choice but to cut down every projectile he throws our way. It takes about 1.5 seconds for his frozen spears to close the distance between us. As long as I'm able to move my body, I can continue fending off his assault. But in the meantime, I need to come up with a plan. Glove hasn't moved an inch. Why? There's no reason for him to hold back now that he recognizes I'm a threat, which leaves me with a hypothesis. He's frozen in place not because he thinks he can finish me off from afar, but because he can't move when he's in that state. Arcway has cornered him already, leaving him without blood to fuel him. This freezing aura that surrounds him is more like the final defense mechanism of a monster on the verge of death. It's a wild theory, but it's one that fits the present situation. Trapped and unable to move, Vlad desperately throws her cursed icicles every which way in order to cling to life. In the end, it doesn't matter if he runs hot or cold. All creatures ultimately perish when in his proximity. If I were within 10 meters of him, I'd freeze to death in 2 seconds. I'm going to collapse in no time. I'll meet my end like a lost traveler on a snowy mountain, doomed to drift off to sleep and never wake again. When a human's body temperature exceeds 43 degrees or drops below 34, brain cells start to shut down. But I can't lose myself in the details. I have to look at the broader picture. I cannot let my thoughts distract me. My duty is to slice my knife through whatever comes my way the second I see it. I do have to revise some of my earlier assumptions. Yes, the code he emanates spreads out in all directions. But after a closer look, I'm not certain the density is uniform all the way around. The ground seems coldest. That must mean there are temperature disparities in the air around him. If he has a weak point, that's where I'll find it. His blizzard may act as an all-encompassing barrier, but that doesn't make it impenetrable from every angle.
死の淵で主を守るか。勇ましいが限界だ。
Vlad draws the lance he used against Archway from the shadows once more. As he does, a large tree of ice crystallizes in the air behind him, its branches extending in all directions. I like how he made a snowflake at first, and then it turned into a bunch of icicle javelins. His attack interrupts my analysis. I focus again on intercepting his projectiles. There's no way I can kill all the icicles this time. I'll have to take a hit. No, I can't let that happen. It's too soon to give up. I can't afford to take the slightest graze. Bleeding here would be death. The unforgiving code would strip me of life before the minute was out. So I have no option but to kill. One way or another, I must. I reboot my consciousness and see the lines. Only the lines. One by one, I take note of my prey. 26 in all. I devise my plan, plot where to move, where to slice and kill, and where to dodge. At the center of it all, I see it. That which far transcends all of the lines of death surrounding it. A perfect point from where the lines are born. The place where death converges. The wall of death closes in on me. But just now I saw it. A glimmer. Just as I'm going to die here, so too does the possibility exist of him dying. Holy shit. I've already reached my limits. Shikitono is out of ways to ensure survival. The icicles rip through the flesh of my left thigh and the right side of my abdomen. Precious heat is robbed from my extremities. My ligaments scream as each sudden stop chews away more muscle fibers. The cells within are instantly destroyed by the ultra cold temperature. My fingers grow numb. I can barely move my limbs. This is it. The chance at victory slipping out of sight. Whether he finishes me off or not, I'll be dead within a minute. If Vlad or Archway or anyone else were watching me now, they'd think the same, I'm sure of it. But no one believes it more than me. So then why? It must be some primal animal instinct. Why is it that you're smiling during all of this? And Asuko strikes Archway in the face. Fuck! I forgot to account for Archway's position behind me. It looks like it only managed to graze her, but she has one hand over her face, rubbing the spot where she was struck. What kind of person takes a hit like that to the face and comes out with barely a scratch? I'm reminded once more of just what a monster Archway is. She buries one hand into the ground and pulls out a massive slab of earth as easily as someone might dig through sand with a shovel. Then, as if to rebuke Vlad for the pain he caused her, she fires the rock in his direction. but he demolished it just as easily with his lance. There's still not a scratch on him. It makes sense that he wouldn't be killed by rudimentary weapons. And yet, after seeing Arcwade's counterattack, it's like the final piece of the puzzle has fallen into place. Finally, I've got something I can work with. I can kill him in one blow, but to do that, I'll have to strike him before my body shuts down from the code. How though? My legs won't carry me the distance. They need to in a span of 2 seconds. I need something faster. To maximize my chances, I'd better approach him from an angle where the code is thinnest, but I can't use my legs to do that. I've got no other options. At this rate, I'll die anyway. It's no longer a question of if I can do it, but how. Brace yourself. There's only one way to get close enough, and that's by throwing, taking flight, pulling. I'm pretty sure it's taking flight. So, I'm gonna save first. Boy. Oh boy, oh boy. We'll make another new save. Because I feel like throwing it, that's risky. That's very, very risky. Very risky indeed. I'm taking flight. I'm hoping taking flight is he's going to use Arcwade to throw him. Taking flight. Or I suppose it'd be more accurate to say falling down. But can I actually pull it off? The whole thing would be down to luck. I'm already aware that there's no way I'd come out of this venture unscathed. For one, the impact of the landing alone would break my bones and turn my muscles to pulp. Will you be able to bear such agony? I narrowly sliced through the projectiles as if we were cutting through my own hesitation. Those were a little too close for comfort, but I ought to thank him. That last shot has opened my eyes. I just need to take whatever pain that comes my way. I've never been particularly susceptible to the sting of death to begin with. From now on, I'll tune every last thought to the prospect of killing. I have no doubt that Vlav is already doing the same. I turn around and run toward Arcwade. Though doing so depletes me of my last reserves of energy, I couldn't take one more step if I tried. My enemy's 50 meters away from me. But that's fine. Horizontal distance doesn't matter here.
アルクエイド、さっきのあれ、もう一回できるか？
あれって何？
I was hoping this is exactly what he was going for. I quickly explained my plan to her. It's a short explanation. She views me with total bewilderment, but something about my expression must have convinced her.
その規模でやると私の余力もなくなるわ。それでもいいのね。もう逃げることもできないわよ。
I nod, indicating I've accepted the consequences. I don't even have the energy to talk, and I'm honestly shocked Arcwade was still considering the possibility of escape.
あれ？でもそれって式は途中で落っこちない？私そのあたり加減できないよ。
そりゃ落ちるに決まってるだろ。だから。
Even though I was supposed to catch my breath, I can't help but yell before getting to my plan. Which is when. There's no time to explain. Vlav has already sent another merciless storm of spears our way.
いいから全力で手を抜かずやってくれ。やりすぎてもいい。お前に殺されるならそれはそれで本望だ。
We don't have time to dance around the issue. I take my eyes off Arcwade and focus on our enemy. Behind me, Arcwade perks up in response to my order.
任せて。私が指揮を勝たせてあげる。
Why the hell is she so happy right now? I crouch down in front of Arcwade. There, I press my knees and palms flat against the ground. An unseen arm runs beneath the surface. Arcwade unearths another slab of rock, just like before. No, it's on a whole different scale this time. The entire terrain crumbles and shakes as she loosens a massive swath from the ground. It's an explosion of soil, veritable upheaval of the ground. The terrain splinters into countless pieces. If Vlav's code is a blizzard, then Arcwade's made of a tsunami of earth. Even Vlav's deathly icicles are but droplets splashing against a tidal wave. Soon, the 50-meter high wall of earth will crash into him, with the full force of 7,000 tons. Yet the knight doesn't flinch in the face of the looming calamity. He pierces through the wave of gravel with a thrust of his steel lance. Between the falling debris, he must have noticed that Arkwade, having used the last of her strength to pry apart the bedrock, was now on her knees, and that the imminent threat was nowhere to be seen among the earth and sand. Staring down the towering wave, his instincts returned to him. To be precise, they had returned 2 minutes prior, when a lone human forced him into retreat. That which he had thought was forever lost to the cold was rekindled, and he found himself regaining a semblance of his sanity. This human has the means to kill me. I know not how, only that he does. A lingering instinct of a man once whole. The intuition of a warrior honed and tempered during the Dark Ages suddenly broke free of the curse plaguing his body. The deep-seated pride of a knight, built up over a mere 2 decades, had won over the madness of a millennium. He understands all too well that this is nothing short of a miracle. But such things are fleeting. This delusion of the mind will end once he kills the human. It will regress to being a dream of the dead, never to see the light of day again. In a matter of moments, the human joy he finds in the thrill of the fight will be buried by a haze of frost. But that's why he intends to relish this development. He understands the enemy's intention. He'll mask his approach using the debris as cover. He's seen the human weapon. He knows it can cut through things. Surely the human will use this wall of dirt as a door, burst through it and encroach on his territory. He readies his lance. The wall of dirt towers before him. Under normal circumstances, he would shatter the wall and his concealed foe with it. There's no need for him to adapt to the enemy's tactics. His preferred method of warfare has always been to offer no quarter and crush all resistance. He still has plenty of energy remaining. 10 people's worth of the finest blood. Yet the vampire remains obstinate.
それはできない。この魂を消費することだけは決して。
It is his warmth. In order to burn, he will preserve this blood for all eternity. He does not mean to make light of the human. He has already realized that the foe he faces is an outlier. He is more than aware that if the human gets too close, it will be the end of him. Yet there are things even he is unwilling to relinquish. Fully aware of his own heedlessness, he thrusts his lance forward, using 50% of his remaining power. The giant wave of debris breaks apart immediately on impact, but that only takes care of the rocks in his front. The blow ensured his immediate safety and nothing more. He knows that it would do little to his foe. He knows the enemy will come for him. No matter the cost, he will come. Unfortunately, there are limits to the human body. It has no way of passing through this rain of debris. Even with the true ancestor princess on his side, some things are impossible. When the earned waves break and the downpour ends, so will the life of the human. As long as he can find the boy, an ambush is impossible. Vlav opens his eyes. They're equipped to peer leagues into the distance. But he finds nothing. Not even a glimpse of her shadow creeping away. Could he have actually managed to kill him with that mighty blow? No, this foe would never die to something so simple. He chastises himself for thinking so highly of the enemy, yet a deathly cold chill runs down his spine. For a single second, he allowed his mind to drift from his foe. He knows that his enemy will come. Yet if he is nowhere to be found, the knight's premise must have been faulty from the start.
Michika!
The vampire looks up at the sky. There, he finds his enemy eliminated under the moonlight. The pale blue ghost lights up the mystic eyes of death perception bear down upon him. Look at that, man. He's hiding like a freaking assassin. Arquade's aim wasn't just to bury Vlad in debris. It was to lob the boulder into the air. The one I was strapped to. Far out of the vampire's view and more importantly, above the reach of his code. 30 meters below me, the tidal wave of Earth is demolished by Vlav. What remains is just him, me, and the vast open air between us. I steel my nerves as I re-visualize the outcome. If I manage to do this, Shikitono will lose both his legs. Even if I survive, I'll never walk again. The certainty crystallizes in my mind's eye. But I don't let that bother me. If I can brace long enough to survive the next 2 seconds, then the result would be well worth it. It took him only a second to find me. While I admire his speed, it'll be 1 second too late.
What? でもそれって式は途中で落っこちない？私そのあたり加減できないよ。
そりゃ落ちるに決まってるだろ。だからお前が俺に道を作ってくれ。
That is smart. The floating rocks fall into place like a puzzle pieces. A hastily constructed slide connected by ivy. We sit in the same coordinates with only the air between us.
さあ
I calculate my chances of survival. Before I get started, I confirm my target. My route is plotted. A one-way path, 30 meters in 2 seconds.
ショータイムだ吸血鬼。
My descent begins. I plunge down the slide into the maw of death. I've given up on reacting. I can only make my decisions one at a time, 1 second at a time. During the 2 seconds leading up to my touchdown, I focus on 2 factors. Every decision I make could end in my death. When faced with such a scenario, I must concentrate on where my chances of dying are particularly high. I visualize every point that could lead to certain death. Only 2 such exist. Elsewhere, my chances of survival lie around 10%. I don't need to worry about those. 10% is more than enough. The problem lies with the ones where I have a 0% chance. A scenario where I will die, no matter how deftly I perform, no matter how careful I am. Which is why I must do whatever I can to raise those odds from 0 to 1%. I need to sharpen my senses if I'm to overcome these 2 obstacles of death. I don't have the luxury to allocate them anywhere else. As I drop down, I no longer have the capacity to plan ahead for anything else either. What if I'm wrong, and there are more than 2 points of certain death? I can't even fathom it. If there are, then it's already over for me. I don't have the strength to avoid 3 of them. That would just mean his power exceeds my wildest expectations. Icicles appear in the air behind him, and shoot forth at me as if to smother their prey. They close in like jaws of a beast. It's terrifying, but I'm beyond caring now. That fear amounts to nothing more than a base animal instinct. I had seen this coming from a mile away. It's the thing I feared would kill me. 10 meters. I passed through the first obstacle. Every last one of my nerves is on fire. My muscles are tuned to perfection. I rapidly twist and turn my torso. Even though it should have been impossible for me to change the trajectory of my descent, I managed to somehow do it after calculating the angle of his weapon. The metallic object narrowly skims the air beside me. My 0% gamble pays off, and I manage to avert certain death. Only 1 second before I land. It's my victory. He's out of moves. Both obstacles are determined in the span of a second each. Now I have to kill him before my insides are pulverized by the impact of the fall. I don't care what'll happen to me afterwards. In this moment, all of my focus is on piercing his line. But if he were to have one more move up his sleeve, something outside of my predictions. No, there's no time to think, no time to avoid it. Even if I could change my trajectory at this juncture, I wouldn't waste my time on it. The time for thinking is over. If I'm gonna die, that was decided the second I started my descent. This is fine. If my brain is to be skewered by ice here, I doubt I'd even register it. The second obstacle. The negative 100-degree temperature that defies the laws of nature and stops the human body in its tracks. I know who saved them. My impulse to brace for a landing and even my concerns for the sanctity of life are left behind in the skies above. Kinetic energy courses from my thighs through my hips, from my hips to my back, and from there into my right hand as I swing the knife down. Now that the motion has been set into action, there's no way of stopping it. I'm a killing machine fueled by my inertia. All my brain needs to do is locate the lines. At the center of it all, I see a light. A vortex of swirling atoms. Certainty of life's eventual end. A place of pure death that pulls everything inside like a black hole. My brain may have cast out all rational thought, but it still comprehends what it's seeing through sheer instinct. If the lines are what brings death to life, then this core brings death to the origin of its existence. The end of the universe, where any creature, be they monster or immortal, can be killed with a simple stab. I can't say I care much for this sudden revelation. My entire body trembles with emotions that run much deeper. Having used his lance already, Love unsheathes his machete, realizing my aim. The vampire readies for another counterattack. It's his final move in this game against an underhanded opponent like myself. This man is the real deal, a shining example of his kind. I don't know or care where the bar is set for vampires, but he's a killer through and through. I can't help but despise him. When he was saying before he was a vampire, I'm sure he was a knight worthy of envy. Even if not a shadow of that man remains. But he will never get the chance to bring his blade against me. I turn, dodge, and twist. Woo! My eyes trace his core. In an instant, the surrounding temperature returns to normal. The cold wave disappears alongside its master's life force. But the man still remains upright at the center of it all. Dazed, the vampire speaks to himself.
この傷は知らない。この喪失は思い出せない。この言語化できない大気の肌触りはいつか失った何者かだ。
I don't know what he's saying. I don't even know the language he speaks. But his tone is gentle, like that of a poet extolling spring.
痛みも寒波も感じない。恐ろしいが懐かしい。これではまるで僕は死人になったようだ。
疲れた。